Yes, as you said, you see the label Kassel University, but the reason why I'm here is I've been working on material efficiency and energy efficiency for now around 10 years. And yeah, I'm just quite new at Kassel University since this summer. So what I like to do today is to talk to you a bit about energy efficiency in SME, first from a more general point of view, and then from a more specific point of view, from the experiences we made in an SME with energy efficiency and energy efficiency management systems. So we maybe already heard the overall goal, of course, is to keep global warming below 1.5 degrees Celsius. This is the overall goal, and thus there are different lower levels to tackle it, and it should be tackled by becoming climate neutral. On a European level, climate neutral by 2050, and on our national level in Germany, climate neutral by 2045. And so everybody's talking about CO2 footprints, carbon emissions, and becoming carbon neutral, like the neighbor session. But the switching to renewable energy is not enough right now, because of course we can only work with state-of-the-art technology we have. So right now we just don't have enough clean and green energy to cover the demand that is there, especially if considering the transition of fossil fuel energy use to electricity, which should of course be then also clean and green. And also not to forget to consider the increasing demand of energy of developing countries. So we still need energy efficiency and after energy saving to meet our global goals. Second, or not to forget, energy efficiency. We had all companies we covered this year, and we are maybe all dealing with this since 1 year, and especially this year with rising energy costs, which we are of course the fossil fuels, but also electrical energy and also renewable energies like fuel wood had increasing prices. And in this case, SME are especially affected because they have fewer economies of scale in purchasing, and they also have higher duties and taxes on energies. In Germany, some tax reductions come only into effect if you consume enough energy, a special amount of energy. And that means also, and as I said, thought you thought about it, some technical conditions you can only get if you consume enough energy. So in the end, a small company or an organization that consumes quite few energy pays more for 1 kilowatt hour. Of course, SMEs are willingly to improve their energy efficiency and to play their part in the green transition. But if you do only single projects and they do it in energy efficiency, that runs the risk of improving one element at the expense of the whole system. So we need a holistic view and implement energy efficiency in all processes on every level of the company. So at this point, we are at process management, not only project management, to start a PDCA cycle to get continuous improvement in your company. And the process management simplifies this continuous improvement. Sorry. And management system, again, anchors process management in a company. And in many cases, stakeholders often set SMEs norms or standards or certifications they have to fulfill. That's pretty much in quality norms they have to fulfill. Sometimes only meet the norm conditions, and sometimes be certificated themselves. They are all process-based, and some are already management systems, like the ISO 9001. And I think who know the automotive, every OEM has its specific management system and quality system you have to meet. So altogether, a management system enables an holistic and comprehensive view to the organization. And yeah, I'd like to go on with our company. We had experiences with the ISO 50009 with implementing it. So we were an SME and in the food industry in Germany. As my previous slide said, our starting point was also not a very noble one. It was just to keep our tax relief, where we were forced to establish an energy management system. And we decided to establish ISO 50001, since we already had the ISO 9001 from the same norm family, and to integrate it in our management system together with 9001 and the IFS Food. And yeah, where to start? We started regarding the PDCA cycle, so with planning, the P, but in this case the planning also was paperwork. We started to set the frame and to define the scope and the involved parties. This paperwork was sometimes hard, and here's what we learned from this paperwork. So we had to think, especially of at the stakeholders, who's interested in us to have this norm, and we get quite quickly to the financiers, who already then get some or gave some bonuses for financing when having an energy management system. We also found that we had many processes, or not many, some processes, where we had gaps in responsibilities, so that were running, and but there was no intentional controlling from management levels. Just the workers, they did it as they always did, and sometimes when some of the workers weren't there, the process wasn't started or stopped, or even controlled. And we also find this that of course it took time and resources, and because we were a very small team with limited resources, our employees had to cooperate and participate even more. So they were not only attending our workshops, but they also had kind of homework and had to document, do the documentation sometimes themselves, which was, on the other hand, quite a benefit, because the wording of the documentation or the documents, of course, met the the language of the workers, and in that way, there was a greater willingness to use these procedures, and it was not just there for the files. We also find that if you have this, especially maybe in small companies where you always have some individuals who have very much responsibilities, but not written down, but just came from or developed from the years they were there, and also huge of knowledge. And those people, if they were sick or if they were on holidays, the whole company or whole processes start to stumble. And at that time, we find that it also relieves these employees or these individuals from their work, or from their work they it wasn't in the job description, but they had it, by defining clear roles and responsibilities and giving instructions who were as a paper there and could also be written by colleagues. Not last, we found that also if many complained about this much documentation, and also about this what is not day-to-day work, like the scope of the norm and responsibilities, the stakeholders, and so on, because we had the case that a very accurate documentation kept our production running, because we had in a special case third parties involved in the heating, in the heat providing, and because we documented, we could avoid a full stop of production, because everyone knew in this very rare case who to ask and how to let the production run. Then we had this once we heard about if you can't measure it, you can't control it. Was the new? Yeah. Of course, essential and demands of the norm are the data collection. And we decided to do it. We do the two-pronged approach. Means on the one hand digitalization, but on a multi-level, so with multi-expansion stages. And on the other hand, I would say metering by sneaker, or metering by walking, a manual collection of data, but with the option of entering it into the energy controlling software without additional costs. So some of you might know it. You have the difference in this controlling software often is, what are you paying for? Are you paying for a metering point, or for a point where a real meter, a digital meter which sends data, is behind? And with this monthly expansion, we started with very big consumers who are easy to meter, and had also the plan to go bottom down to at least single energy consumers. Then also the ISO 50001 requests to define significant energy use units, so that are free to decide, but they have to be monitored, and That can be plants, that can be machines, that can but also be forms of energies. We didn't choose electricity as an SAU, but since it was a real cost driver for us, we meted it, of course, as intensively as an SEU. And what we get out of it were also kind of quick wins by getting the staff involved. And to us, it was quite easy because many of them, or everybody of them, knew if I switch something off, if I switch a machine off, if I switch the light off, then I have the effect of saving electricity. This quick win by cutting no-load operations was not just, but we could install an automatic control system that stopped every machine when one stopped, because before that, often when there was a problem at one machine, all the other machines, all the other belts were still running and used energy. Also, we found that the consumption of energy was not considered in every investment, especially if it came to changes to the buildings. So we set up processes who did that. Also, we made workshops with the purchasing, so that they gave even greater consideration of energy in the purchasing processes. There were especially spare parts or parts for machines, but also in our raw goods, which were sometimes energy sensitive. So now a bit more detailed. One of our the largest SAU by kilowatt hours were pasteurizers, who had to pasteurize canned food, and they run with steam, and we had a fossil fuel use, and we started some years ago. This project is some years old, but we started primarily by reducing costs, and only secondly reducing CO2 emissions. And we were lucky to have a neighboring biogas plant, so we used the exhaust gas of the motors for our heat, so with heat exchangers. And also we installed a multi-fuel burner to use surplus biogas directly. That this surplus biogas was there regularly when there was the annual maintenance of the motors and they were stopping, and also in some if they had some problems and had to stop. And with these two things, we were able to reduce our fossil fuel use by around 5 gigawatt hours per year. And not to forget, often, or maybe forgot, but because it's so simple, but the installation of pipes and all fittings we did at the same time. For the future, we said these pasteurizers, they are a very static system, which is hardly adjustable. So either they run or they don't run. So for the future, to be more energy efficient in the machines themselves, it's necessary to change the technology. And we see a chance now to convert the pasteurizers from steam to hot water, which would, of course, mean very less energy use. But that is a future project, but also very important to the ISO 50001, because you always have to check. So in the PDCA, there's the check, and the new planning of the new circle starts again. Second SCU was the cooling energy we needed. There were refrigeration cells for cooling and deep freezing of raw material, and they consumed, of course, after electricity, but also refrigerant. And we did it I think it's also quite easy to do, and does not mean many investments, and that is to involve the technical service provider and their annual maintenance. And most of them are quite happy to help. And if we implemented it in our annual plans, that they gave their knowledge, and to check, of course, if the technology is still state of the art, or if there is now something better meanwhile. A bit more, because you mentioned it, the food industry, or we had always the problem if it came to investments, that we were quite seasonal company with a stop of production for around 3 months. So we were mainly producing during the summer when the harvest was there. And on the other hand, this makes it quite easy to have or to combine it with these biogas plants, because also biogas plants produce the most biogas in the summer month when it's warm and the bacteria can work properly. And most of them in Germany, they generate electricity, so they are running in the summer, and then they are getting too hot, or the air is getting too hot. They can't cool their motors anymore, and have to lower down their production. So in this case, this combining of our factory with the biogas plants, it improved or gave benefits to both facilities. Also here we identified a future project that is using the process heat for absorption refrigeration. The technology is there and is state of the art, but it's a huge investment, and for only running fuel of cooling cells for around 8 months or so, it's not yet feasible to do it in a financial way. Last not least, every engineer learns it, or every production engineer, the compressed air is the most expensive energy. Basically, we did the same with the cooling technology. We invited the service maintenance technicians to give their ideas and to consider it in their annual checking. Often one measurement, one idea to improve in energy efficiency of compressed air is to use the waste heat of the compressors. In this case, we couldn't because we had enough heat, but we had another company where we just used the waste heat from compressors to heat the production hall just by channeling the heat to the production hall with metal sheets. So that was also quite cheap way to use this energy. To sum it up, we had, through this kind of low budget projects or low budget actions without bigger investments, we had an improvement of energy efficiency, or 5 to 6% less energy consumption per piece we produced since 2019. So every year 5 to 6% less. plus the effects of the of using the process heat, which was, of course, after all, a cost reduction. And we also, as the management system, we figured out that the employees, they were very much aware and they were willingly to give their content, especially if they saw the figures and when they saw what their contribution made in the figures. So how much energy less we consumed or how much costs, and that was a very much inspiring point for them to go on. I'd like to add some small bonus. I also had from work in production efficiency. I did also, and that are networks. We had these networks, especially in energy management. They are all over Germany, and you can participate in them. They are also funded, and we get quite a lot of it because we were in the lucky position to can do the internal audits as networks. These internal audits are mandatory in ISO 50001 and other standards, and means that you have to check your own system. And of course, if some like external people do it, it's more fruitful, or there are more ideas. And because we had subsidies and we had the same holding company, we could do also this internal audit. So the colleagues from the sister company came over and checked our management system. And we also made this audit or this meetings to discuss problems, and that were always very fruitful and very creative solutions that came out. Plus, the colleagues were, in most of the cases, I had very much fun of it because it wasn't their day-to-day work, and they could offer a very different view to the problems than their colleagues. So, to sum it quickly up, energy efficiency, in my opinion, is crucial to achieve this carbon neutrality and to tackle the climate crisis. And in energy management, every management system, if it's properly designed, supports the employees and strengthens the organization when all employees are involved and individuals are relieved, and the framework is done in that way that you kind of take weight from their shoulders. And of course, it is continually reviewed because no norm is perfect and shouldn't be perfect, but you should always aim to be perfect. And especially for the SMEs, as we were, it's important to take action. And since PDCA is a cycle, there's you can start everywhere because it's a cycle. There's no starting point, and you will always come to every point you need. Plus, then we benefit very much from this internal audits and the networks we created within the holding. So, and thank you very much. I think now we have the round table, the discussions.